What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. It looks like the Red Sox may have found their new DH just in time for the holiday season. On Saturday, it was announced that JD Martinez would not be returning to the Boston Red Sox, and instead he would be going to the Los Angeles Dodgers on a one-year deal. Now, the Red Sox response to that was pretty immediate. On Sunday night, Boston Red Sox announced that they had their new DH in agreement to a deal, and this is a guy who has a JD type bat, especially comparing the 2022 seasons, but brings a bit more versatility to that DH position, and that guy's name is Justin Turner of the Los Angeles Dodgers, now Boston Red Sox. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down Justin Turner's contract, talk about the years, talk about the dollar amount, see if the contract itself makes sense for this Red Sox team. Then we're going to talk about how Justin Turner himself makes sense for this Red Sox team, what his impact may be on and off the field, and why the Red Sox may have decided to go with Turner instead of JD. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start by talking about the actual contract itself. Originally on Sunday night, right around 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, it was announced that the Red Sox and Justin Turner were in an agreement for a 2-year, $22 million deal or an $11 million AAV. That was later revised, and the actual contract that the Red Sox gave Justin Turner and are in agreement on is a 2-year, $19.7 million deal. Now, this isn't broken up evenly within the 2 years. It is a little bit of a funky contract. The first year of this contract is an $8.3 million salary for the 2023 season. Then Justin Turner has a player option going into 2024 worth $11.4 million, totaling that $19.7 million we talked about earlier. So while technically it is a 2-year deal, on paper right now it is just a 1-year deal until Justin Turner opts in at the end of 2023. I would be absolutely shocked if Justin Turner decided to retest the free agent market going into his year 39 season. Okay, so it appears as though the contract has changed once again from that Alex Spear contract tweet. It turns out the actual contract is $21.7 million, and it gets a little bit complicated, so I'm going to read it word for word. The actual contract is 2 years, $21.7 million, like I just said. If he exercises his player option 2024, that ends up being a 1-year, $15 million contract if he does not. What that basically means is it is either a 2-year, $21.7 million contract, or if he decides to opt out of that contract going into year 2, it ends up being a 1-year, $15 million contract. Now, there is something else involved with this contract that makes it even more interesting. He has incentives. It is $200,000 each in 2023 if he ends up with 480 plate appearances, 500 plate appearances, 520 plate appearances, 640 plate appearances, and finally 560 plate appearances. That ends up as a maximum of $1 million. So the contract did change a little bit, which does mean that it is going to be more AAV annually than JD Martinez, but the rest of this kind of makes sense. It's still the same sort of concept. They are getting a more versatile DH. They are getting a consistent bat that we will talk about in a second. And at the end of the day, I still think this is a good contract. Maybe a tiny bit of an overpay, but for the most part, that's what you're going to see mostly in free agency is overpays. Sorry about that. It changes all the time. I try to record these as soon as they come out, so some of the information once in a while will be updated after I make the video. On paper, I really like this contract. I think it's a great deal. You're getting a bat similar to JD's profile, and that could slot into the middle of this lineup. And like I said, obviously we're talking about just a contract right now. We're going to get more into this. He does bring a bit more versatility to that DH position. It's also not a long-term commitment. Again, it's not a ton of dollars. You're getting a guy who could be a veteran presence to this clubhouse. I like this deal on paper, numbers wise, a lot, but numbers aren't the only thing that I really like about Justin Turner's game. So let's get into how Justin Turner is going to affect this Red Sox team on and off the field. So for those of you who may not know who Justin Turner is, or you haven't been following his career very closely, Justin Turner's actually been in the league for a pretty long time. He debuted in 2009 with the Baltimore Orioles, but really started to break out in 2011 when he went to the New York Mets. Since being on the New York Mets, he went to the Dodgers in 2014, where he became more of a household name and really put together a great career. Since breaking out with the Mets in 2011, Justin Turner has a career average of 290 with a 367 on base percentage, an 836 OPS, and a 127 OPS plus, making him throughout those 11 seasons about 27% more productive than the average player in baseball, at least statistically. Now, Justin Turner isn't exactly known for his home run power, but he has had seasons where those home runs have come in bunches. In those 11 years, 4 of those seasons he had above 20 home runs, including his most recent year in 2021, where he had 27. Yes, Justin Turner has been in the league for a while, but that bat hasn't seemed to slow down at all. In fact, in 2022, he started off a little bit slow, but really put together a really solid season by the end of it. In 2022, with the Dodgers, Justin Turner finished with a 278 average, a 788 OPS, and a 116 OPS plus, again, making his season about 16% more productive at the plate statistically than the average player in baseball, which are some pretty solid numbers. They're numbers that could slot into the middle of this Red Sox order, maybe towards the 5th, 6th spot, and be a guy who can make contact and get hits and bring guys in who are getting on base at the top of that order. On top of that too, if you take a look at Justin Turner's 2022 Baseball Savant page, what you'll notice is a lot of these offensive numbers, really almost all of his offensive numbers, are slightly, if not fully, red. What that means is he is above average offensively in almost every single category compared to his fellow players in baseball. Now, 2 of these categories that I want to point out to you guys are Justin Turner's expected batting average as well as his strikeout rates. Both are very high in percentile, meaning that he was supposed to have a much higher batting average. He's a really hard guy to strike out, which is great. It seems to be something the Boston Red Sox are stacking up a little bit. You got guys like Yoshida, Verdugo, and now Justin Turner, who are very hard guys to strike out and will get on base more than the average player in baseball, which seems to me like the Red Sox are going to be focusing on getting on base and making something happen when they are on base this year, as opposed to home run power like we've seen in the past. One thing that I think really put the Red Sox over the edge when it came to Justin Turner and the prospect of him being the Red Sox DH was the flexibility he brings to the DH position. Justin Turner, over the seasons that he has played in Major League Baseball, has spent time at third base, he spent time at second base, and he spent time at first base, which gives the Red Sox some options with that DH position. Now, the first, and in my opinion, one of the biggest options that allows for you to give your best offensive player in Rafael Devers more opportunities to get off his feet at third base. We saw Rafael Devers injured in almost the entire second half of 2022, and yes, you did have some third base options, but now having a guy that you can plug into third base who you know is going to be a dependable, reliable type hitter and still play, I guess, fairly decent third base. He's not going to wow you with his defense, but he's still going to be able to play that position. Hopefully gives you the ability to, again, get your best offensive weapon off their feet and hopefully avoid injuries like we saw last season. What else this means is that he can also do the same thing for Tristan Casas at first base. Now, he can also be a platoon over at first base if really need be. He hasn't spent a ton of time over at first base. He's not exactly a gold glover over there either, so it's not ideal, but if it does come down to that, you do have that option as well. But more importantly, Tristan Casas has had a fair amount of injuries over the last year. He had one at the AAA level last year that prevented him from coming up earlier. He had injuries over the fall league as well that he is still nursing back from. So having that ability to, again, take Tristan Casas off his feet, allow him to develop at the major league level without as much of a risk of injury is hugely important to his success on this team. And bringing in Justin Turner with that flexibility is definitely something the Red Sox are very excited about. They have been talking about flexibility at the DH position basically since the season ended, right? Alex Cora was very outspoken about how if he had it his way, he would want a DH that can play the field as well to give him options on the DH position. Chaim Bloom has talked about it. Sam Kennedy has talked about it. Now it seems like they've actually done it. In my opinion, this was the biggest reason why the Boston Red Sox moved on from JD, because the rumor was JD did say, hey, Red Sox, look, I want to retire here. If you give me a 2-3 year deal, I would be so happy to finish my career with the Red Sox. And they were essentially like, Okay, sorry, I feel bad about that, but we're not going to give you that deal. And in my opinion, it had a lot to do with the versatility that JD seems to lack a little bit, that the Red Sox really love. And to me, that makes a lot of sense because of the two things that we mentioned. Obviously, there are concerns with Justin Turner, his biggest being his age, but like we've talked about throughout this video, it doesn't seem like his age is truly hindering his ability to be a productive, reliable hitter at the plate, which is the biggest reason the Boston Red Sox brought him in. So, and it's not a super long-term deal. It's only 2 years, technically one with an opt-in. So I don't think that's a huge issue for the Boston Red Sox. Maybe after these 2 years, it'll be a bigger issue, but for these 2 years, I don't think it'll be that big of a problem. All in all, I really like this Justin Turner signing. Was it the guy that I had circled on my free agent list going into the 2023 offseason? No, not particularly, but it's a good deal. It brings a lot of versatility to DH. It brings a reliable hitter, right-handed hitter, more importantly, that they're kind of lacking in this lineup right now. A guy who you know is more than likely going to perform pretty well for you. And it also brings a real true veteran presence to this Red Sox clubhouse. There are obviously guys on this team who have been here for a little bit, but Justin Turner's been around the block a long time in the MLB and more importantly in big markets, right? The two teams that he's performed the best for are the Mets and the Dodgers, and both of those guys have an equivalently big market as the Boston Red Sox, and that is always important to have that veteran presence on this Red Sox team. So all in all, I really like this signing. I think it makes sense, especially after the Hosmer DFA. It's essentially a better Eric Hosmer. So I'm all in on this. I like it. Am I ecstatic, over the moon, ready to go? We're going to win a World Series? No, but I think he will be an important piece for this Red Sox team in 2023 and 2024. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of Justin Turner? Do you like this signing? Do you not like this signing? Are you kind of dead in the middle where it doesn't really matter to you at all? Where are you at with Justin Turner to the Boston Red Sox? Let me know all your thoughts down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, like I said at the beginning, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Plus, you made it to the end here, you might as well hit that sub button. You also might as well hit that like button as well too. It helps these videos out a ton and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seat.